Yes.
Yeah.
Anita ji?
Jai Gurudev,
Jai
verse 28, verse verified by scientific research goes like this. It gives greater appreciation of others through Maharishi transcendental meditation. Extreme compassion relates to greater empathy, increased sensitivity to the feeling of others, growth of a more tactful, forgiving, and agreeable nature, growth of a more sympathetic, helpful, and caring nature, increased consideration for others, and improved ability to appreciate others. So, this verse will be telling us all the importance of the bodily attachment because it gives greater empathy to others and how we have to get over it and advance towards spiritual existence. And we must understand that spiritual existence is more important than the physical existence alone. So ignorance brings us to this. That is why the scientific research again and again lays emphasis on greater empathy, greater sensitivity, greater consideration. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Thank you, Anita ji. Mataji, please go ahead with your comments now.
I did not know the format, Hema, so that's why.
Right. I should have
know.
told you. I should have told you ahead of time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because you said in 10 minutes summarize it, so I was just prepared for that.
Okay.
But at least once I know, because you remember last time we had a long discussion, little longer time.
Yeah,
right?
You can speak. Go ahead, and then we will give this verse because this is very important. We can take more time if we need.
Okay.
And we will allow questions and answers
short
also.
Only because it is already heard. She has already read it beautifully, and we'll go to the main points. So here again, we come back to this verse where we first need to understand who is it that is standing here. Here is Arjuna. Here is Arjuna with the individual mind and the heart, but a very noble being on the path of the evolution, a true seeker and a righteous warrior, and who wants everything to be dharmic, who wants to be very compassionate even with his enemies. He doesn't see his kinsmen as the enemies, although they are standing on the other side of the battlefield. And then there is Bhagavan Krishna here, who has the cosmic mind and the divine heart. Here is Arjuna with the individual mind and the individual heart, but very noble. And here is Purna, complete Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna, with the cosmic mind and the divine heart. And so this conversation, which has begun with Bhagavan Krishna saying one sentence, then for the next several verses, you should understand that Arjuna is speaking his mind. Arjuna is speaking his mind to this compassionate Bhagavan Krishna. And what is Krishna doing? He listens with great compassion. He listens to him fully, completely. He gives his whole attention to him. He listens with all his being. And, never disturbing him or questioning him or anything. He listens fully. So here he is speaking his mind, and Bhagavan is listening with complete intention. When I read this verse, the first thing that occurred to me was how Bhagavan was listening in the first chapter, and the part of the second chapter was that Bhagavad Gita is telling us through Bhagavan Krishna how we should listen to our Guru, how we should listen to Bhagavan Krishna in the Gita. If we can become good listeners, listen with our whole being, and and take everything that is given by the Guru and Bhagavan, then one can advance very quickly, one can evolve very quickly, and one can gain the finality of this liberation in this life alone. This is what, Mataji has come to that point. Now, I'll read the first thing again. Possessed by extreme compassion, Arjuna spoke this in grief. Seeing these, my kinsmen, O Krishna, gathered eager to fight, my limbs fail and my mouth is parched. My body quivers and my hair stands on end. Gandivi at the bow slips from my hand, and even my skin burns all over. I am unable to stand, and my mind seems to whirl. So here, what Arjuna, the seeker of the truth, the seeker of the dharma, the seeker of the truth and standing on dharma, pedestal of dharma, he takes his stand between the two opposing forces, the good and the evil. He sees the reality of the battlefield. He sees the reality of the battlefield, which is the battlefield of life. He sees the conflict of opposing forces as the very core of life. There is conflict always. There is conflict always. And and this is the reality of life. And he probes deep within his own mind and finds the 16 fundamental problems that form the basis of these conflicts. Sangeeta already, mentioned some of things. Then he seeks for a solution. As a seeker, as a warrior in the battlefield, he's seeking the solution so that life may be lived free from problems. You understand? Now, what else has come about with Arjuna? There are these conflicts. He sees them as conflicts. He sees them as a problem. He sees them as suffering. He sees it as a sin. He sees it as many things. But what has happened to him is he has completely identified with them. Because of his individual mind and in his individual heart, he has completely identified with them. He has identified himself with his own feelings and emotions, with his own conflicts in his mind, with the concerns for the others. And this is what every seeker is confronted with. You identify with something which is not you because you are the self alone. Because you are the self alone. That is what Bhagavan is telling again and again in Bhagavad Gita. And you identify with that something which is not you, and you get very concerned and you lose your balance. Okay? Now, there is something called, everyone knows, there is the heart and the mind. And we all know that the mind, is concerned with the thoughts and the emotions and the sentiments and all that. And the heart is there for the love. These two are very important for every human being and especially for a seeker. And all the growth in the seeking and in the evolution actually comes in the mind and the heart. Because the individual mind stops being individual when it becomes cosmic. It expands. It loses its individuality and it just becomes cosmic. The I and mine is gone. And in the same way, the heart, when it expands through the practice of TM and the siddhis, and as you're evolving in consciousness, then this expansion in the heart, which is so conditional in terms of love and compassion and forgiveness and all those greater qualities, becomes unconditional and becomes universal. So the heart has expanded to the divine level. We say, that is, to the level of Bhagavan. And the mind has expanded to the level of the cosmic, where the individuality is not there. So here is Arjuna with the individual mind and the heart and seeking the grace of Bhagavan Krishna, who is full of integrated heart and mind, fullness in the heart and fullness in the mind. And so the seeker has to go from this point of individuality and limitations to this point of fullness, complete fullness and Purna, just like Bhagavan is. So this is where Bhagavan Krishna is going to take him from this verse onwards. It will continue like that. Now, in order for normal survival, everyday life, for everyday relationships, everyday work, everyday enterprise or endeavors, there has to be coordination between the heart and the mind. Even when there are good qualities of the heart, the mind will fail to uphold the life in the absence of this coordination. So it's very important for this coordination to come in. And the coordination comes as you keep on meditating, and as the consciousness is rising, more and more coordination will come and more integration will come. But even on a normal level, again and again, this situation for the seeker or for the warrior comes where this non-coordination of the heart and mind is there and the non-integration is there. So Bhagavad Gita is actually designed to give the wisdom of life and the technique of living, which enables the man to live all the good qualities of life with full coordination of heart and mind. This is the crux. The heart has to be full, the mind has to be full, they have to be integrated, and only then you are full. And compassion is among the most glorious qualities of the heart. And extreme compassion expresses the fullness of one's heart. But once dissociated from the qualities of the mind, the heart as such, dissociated from the qualities of the mind, it can no longer be effective in supporting action in life. Because when the heart is full of love, then it is very content. It is not in a mood to listen to, what the mind is saying. The mind is expressing its individual desires and its individual this thing. But the heart, when it is full, this is what is happening to Arjuna here. His heart is full of love for his kinsmen. And the mind has its own agenda regarding his desires not to fight, not to oppose, and not to be in the war. And so here the mind is full because, it feels it does not have the desire to do anything. And the heart is full here because it has that enormous love and compassion for his kinsmen. And so here the coordination is not coming. The integration is not coming. Now the next point so here when Arjuna is divided between these two forces, and when we realize that there is no coordination, then the heart is not supported by the mind, and the coordination is weakened between the physiology and the body. And this is when, one feels, this is the second verse actually, this is, the further next verse, but where the body is not functioning properly, where the mind, the clarity of the mind is not there, and Arjuna feels, that his limbs are failing, his mouth is parched, his body is quivering. I'm sorry if I'm going, one verse ahead, but these two I thought were very connected, So, Bhagavad Gita undertakes to solve this problem of suffering completely. That is why Bhagavan designed his Bhagavad Gita, so that he felt that, the suffering should not be there. Now we have to go into the root of the suffering. This is where Maharishi has brought it out in very great detail. And he said that all fear is born of duality. All fear is born of duality alone. So whenever and wherever there is a sense of two or duality, that means I and you, or I and mine, fear or suffering can exist. So here the duality, this mind and the heart are also seen as two entities. Because there is no integration, they are seen as two different things. They are also dual here. So the cause of all suffering is the duality. And the whole purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to go beyond this duality and to come to the unity consciousness. So as long as there is duality, there is more bound to be conflict. There is bound to be, lack of coordination, and suffering is there. Now, Bhagavad Gita undertakes to solve this problem of suffering completely. It locates the ultimate cause of suffering and provides a means to eliminate it. So it goes to the root of the suffering, and here is what it is. Maharishi has said, the seed of suffering in life is located in the duality inherent in the characteristic difference between the qualities of heart and mind. So the whole thing comes to the one crux is it is the duality. The solution lies in the infusion into the field of duality of a non-dual element which blesses man's life with a status unaffected by suffering. So what has Maharishi done? Or what Bhagavan Krishna has said? Maharishi has brought it out as a commentary. He says, infusion into the field of duality of a non-dual element which blesses man's life with a status unaffected by suffering. So even when this element is brought in, he gave the technique. He gave the technique of the transcendental meditation, and he helped us, to go or transcend beyond this duality and move beyond this duality and beyond this field of suffering. And so the seed of suffering is located in the duality inherent in the characteristic difference between the qualities of the heart and the mind. This one has to remember very quickly. Then now, when this element is introduced, although one is remaining in the field where suffering is possible, one will be able to bring the coordination of the mind and the heart. This duality persists, actually. This duality persists even, if when you're going and reading through the Bhagavad Gita, this duality persists even through the cosmic consciousness. There is the self and the non-self. And this duality persists even through the God consciousness. There is the Bhagavan and the Bhakta. And then beyond that, the duality comes to an end in the unity consciousness. So this fullness of the heart is also, the fullness of the mind comes completely in the cosmic consciousness. But Maharishi will talk about it as you go along. I'm just bringing it to your awareness. And the fullness of the heart, the complete expansion of the heart comes in the God consciousness. So in the God consciousness, there is the fullness of the heart and the fullness of the mind is complete. Just like the God, just like Bhagavan, it is complete. So I think, there is nothing much more to say than this, other than what I wanted to say is, most of us as seekers go through these questions. Why are we here? What do we do? What we do in our lives? Why do more and more challenges come? And, and even after we solve some of these challenges, then more challenges come, and we are overcome with numerous challenges. Why don't we find fulfillment even after years of working for what we desire, for what we want our success to be, and what we want to get out of the world? These are our challenges. And how can we become more integrated individuals? How can we become more mature in our mind and heart and our thoughts? And how can we become spiritually more advanced? Adhyatmically, I won't use the word spiritually anymore. Adhyatmically more advanced. And this is where Maharishi Ji has come as a blessing to all of us. He has given us the knowledge and the technique, step by step, taking us to the different higher states of consciousness and seeing how to go beyond this root of suffering, the root of this duality, and the root of this, non-integration and non-coordination of not only the heart and the mind, but the whole of the body itself, which is not the self. So I would like to end by again saying one thing you could learn from Bhagavan Krishna is how he would listen to Arjuna. The intent with which he listens, the whole his being, with all his senses, with all his mind, and with his cosmic mind and heart, and the divine heart. It's not the cosmic heart, it's the divine heart. He listens very intently. And here he's setting an example to the seeker. You also become like that. You listen to the Guru. You listen to this Gita with that same intent, and you follow it. And then all the answers will come. I will end here, Hema. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev Mataji. Thank you for beautiful, beautiful, excellent points that you brought out. And you brought out the cause of suffering. And then you said, what is the solution to that suffering? And then when we have found the solution to suffering, then what happens? We rise in higher states of consciousness. And I want to make a small note here. We have a wide range of people in our audience. Some are new meditators, some are non-meditators, and we have siddhas and governors, and we have very highly evolved persons, highly respected, highly evolved people also in this. So for some of the beginners, if you didn't understand what cosmic consciousness is, what God consciousness, what unity consciousness, and if there are new terms for you, don't worry about it. As we go on studying Gita, we will learn about higher states of consciousness. And also Mataji brought out how the technique of transcendental meditation that we all are doing, most of us are doing, how it helps us go from suffering to non-suffering. We are solving the problems of suffering, and from suffering, we are going to happiness. And that is the biggest blessing we have from Maharishi Ji. He's not only giving us theoretical knowledge, but he's giving us a practical technique of transcendental meditation, of how just with the transcendental meditation, we are able to solve the problems of life and rise in higher states of consciousness. So I think you did a great job, and I'm very pleased with the way you brought everything out. And one more thing you brought out, how to listen. And it's such an important thing. People don't pay attention to that. Sri Krishna Bhagavan did not say, after one or two shlokas, he didn't say, you shut up and get up and fight. He did not say that. He gave all the time that Arjuna needed. As a matter of fact, one whole chapter is given. And throughout this whole chapter, the first chapter, Arjuna keeps on complaining. about and comes up with so many reasons why he's not going to fight. And this spills into the second chapter. In the beginning, the first 9 or 10 shlokas, he's still complaining. And eventually, when Arjuna falls at Sri Krishna Bhagavan's feet and he says, Swami, I don't know what to do. Please tell me what to do. Sri Krishna Bhagavan listens patiently until that point where Arjuna surrenders to Sri Krishna Bhagavan and asks for advice in plain and simple language. He says, tell me what to do because I'm lost. I don't know what to do. So all these points are very important points and you brought them out beautifully. Now I would like to open up for questions. But before I do that, I would like to ask Dr. Bhuvanesh Sharma ji. Would you like to say something, Sharma ji?
No, I think Jai Gurudev. No, I think Mataji has explained it very well, and then your comments also have completed it. The oneness is established, even though the duality is there. But then, with the transcendental meditation technique, we have that infusion of singularity, means bringing them one. Because in this, Maharishi has mentioned that either there is conflict or there is, we can say, lack of coordination between heart and mind, then the problem starts. As he said, wherever there is duality, there is suffering. So by infusion of transcendental consciousness, the unity, we can say, in the individual's consciousness, then there is no conflict or suffering. So that's very good. Actually, already all points have been covered. So I think that will be, yes.
Yeah.
Namaste ji.
Thank you, Sharma ji. Now, we will take questions. Anybody in the audience, if they have any questions, please go ahead and ask. And Ravendra, I don't know if he's there or Sachin, please check if there are any questions on Ramrajtv also, and then let me know. So any questions from the audience? Go ahead, please.
I think everyone is,
Yeah,
now
you did. You
they-
did such a great job of explaining everything. So there are no questions because they understood everything. Okay, very good. So now we will move on to the next shloka. Please go ahead. Whoever is supposed to recite the next shloka.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
सीदन्ति मम गात्राणि मुखं च परिशुष्यति वेपतुश्च शरीरे मे रोमहर्षश्च जायते सीदन्ति मम गात्राणि मुखं च परिशुष्यति वेपतुश्च शरीरे मे रोमहर्षश्च जायते. My limbs fail and my mouth is parched. My body quivers and my hair stands on end. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. A great strength of noted warriors lies in their concern for their fellow men, which has moved them to become the saviors of their societies. Arjuna was filled with a concern for others, which enabled him to accept the challenge of his time when evil threatened. Because this concern for others formed the basis of his acceptance of battle, it comes as no surprise that the power of love overwhelms his heart and brings it to fullness. In this state of self-contentedness, the heart becomes oblivious to the need of the mind. the call of duty. Arjuna is caught between the power of love and the call of duty. He finds he cannot yield to either. The call of righteousness and the tide of love rising in the heart, both are dear to him because life, as he understands it, is all love of righteousness. But as he is placed now, suspended between the heart and mind, he is not in a position to undertake activity. Even if, by some miracle, he tries to initiate action, he is faced with a terrible situation. If he follows the call of righteousness, he must rebel against love and kill all his dear ones assembled for battle. And if he allows the call of love, he must sacrifice the cause of righteousness and yield to evil. From this viewpoint, we find that Arjuna is divided between the two forces which have so far been the essential components of his life. He stands like a child who is being called with love by his mother, and at the same time is being summoned by his father from the other side. If he goes towards one, the other pulls him. He swings both ways. That is why he begins to feel shaken in body and mind. When one is deeply absorbed in thinking, the attention no longer remains outside on the level of the senses, and the coordination of the body and mind becomes weak. If at this time the heart is not supported by the mind, that coordination is weakened still further. If this process goes far enough, the body does not function properly. That is why Arjuna felt his limbs failing, his mouth parched, his body quivering. His physical state indicates that power of love is dominating Arjuna and challenging the call of duty by throwing his body out of balance. The consequences of a further rise in this power of love are described in the following verses. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. The scientific research of this verse goes, improved neuromuscular efficiency through Maharishi Transcendental Meditation. Those who learned the Transcendental Meditation program showed significant improvement, reduced latency and motor time in speed of the patellar reflexes. My limbs fail relates to improve athletic performance and mind and body coordination, improved running speed, standing, this is in terms of sports that they are talking, standing, broad jump and agility, superior perceptual motor performance, faster reactions, increased psychomotor speed, greater perceptual motor speed, and non-verbal intelligence. The most important scientific research here is, which applies to the verse, is that greater perceptual motor speed and non-verbal intelligence, because everything Arjuna is thinking in his mind, and that is giving him strength to come out of the field of suspension. Jai Gurudev.
Now, Sharmaji will make comments. Sharmaji, go ahead, please.
Yes, actually, as in the earlier verse, it was mentioned that there was a conflict between the mind and the heart. Heart was fully developed, and the mind is also fully developed, but the integration is not there. And so when we are, Arjun is having the physiological effects of this, because he is having, we can say, because mind is not supported by the heart, and so he can just his physiological effects are such that, which is indicating the inability or the lack of coordination between the mind and the body. And especially I would like to refer what scientific research also has shown, that transcendental meditation infuses that quality. What it infuses? It infuses the unity of the heart and mind, more coordination between the heart and the mind. So basically the same thing continues in the next verse as well. And I think that is what is, we can say. In case some questions are there, we can take.
Yeah. Anybody has any questions for Dr. Sharma? Please go ahead.
Yes, Sharmanji, Jai Gurudev. Here it is very clearly also mentioned that when one deeply is absorbed in thinking only, then the attention no longer remains outside on the level of the senses, and the coordination of the body and mind becomes weak.
Yes, that is what it is, that if one is thinking, then he is not able to act properly because heart is not supporting. There
Right.
should be more integration. When one is thinking, the energy is less because he is not able to act with complete strength. So that is how the weakness comes. If the heart and mind are coordinated, then the strength is more, as it goes in the next verse as well. Because it is actually, it depends on if we are with the on the right path. If we are supported by righteousness, that is dharma. It says, dharmo rakshati rakshate. Anyone who is supported by the laws of nature, then one wins. So it is not just the thinking or the action, but it is the support of nature, because the righteousness has the power, and it also integrates.
Yeah. And it also shows, Sharmaji, that the physical state becomes very, very not very good, because then, like they are mentioning here the word quivering. The Gandhava is falling.
Physiological effects, we can say,
Yeah,
physiologically
yeah.
inability to act because of the lack of coordination between the.
Coordination, so physiology also changes. So this makes us again go greater into doing our TM regularly, so that we do not have that type of imbalance.
Basically, the whole purpose of writing this commentary is that
Is
we
that
should learn to practice of transcendental meditation and practice
and
it
do it.
regularly. And not
Thank
only
you.
transcendental meditation, also this is the program, so that the mind and body coordination is also
Is
better.
maintained. Thank you, Jai Gurudev.
Yes. So at every possible point, this point is brought out. There is a problem and there is a solution. And we find that by regular practice of transcendental meditation, we are getting relief from all these problems. Any questions? Please go ahead if you have any questions or comments.
So basically in Jai Gurudev, basically we understand irrespective of the material and physical power or prowess someone possesses, as long as this duality is existing, no coordination between the heart and the mind, he is definitely going to undergo the suffering, just like what Arjuna's situation in this particular circumstances.
Yes, exactly. Wherever there is duality, as Maharishi has mentioned, Dityad ve bhayam bhavati, means every fear or suffering comes because of the duality. And very nicely, Mataji also explained this point, that duality can be various ways. Duality can be between mind and heart, and duality can also be between the small self and the cosmic self. So duality, as long as the creation is there, duality is there. But we can infuse that singularity in our consciousness, so that we are able to act from that coordinated state even in the field of duality. So this is what the lesson is.
Yes. If there is one take-home point from today's Gita discussion, and that is duality is the cause of suffering. If we remember that, it will help us, because now we know the cause of suffering. And so we are thinking how to get out of this problem. And then immediately the solution is there, transcendental meditation. So it's as simple as that. Mhm. Thank you, Sharmaji. We will stop Gita discussion now, because we still have 10 more minutes. We still want to do group meditation followed by the recitation of the Gita first chapter. So I will do the mala of the next two shlokas. We discussed shlokas 27 and 28. And now 28 and 29. We discussed 28 and 29. I will do mala of the next two shlokas, shloka 30 and 31. Nimettani cha pashyami viparitani keshava na cha shreyo nupashyami hatva tvajanamahave. Na kankshe vijayam Krishna, na charajyam sukhani cha, kim no rajyena govinda, kim bhogair jivitena va. Can you please show me the previous verse, Sunita? 20, which one did I read? 30 and 31. I forgot to read the Gandiva slips from my hand and even my skin burns all over. I am unable to stand and my mind seems to whirl. The next one, please. And I see adverse omens, O Keshava, Sri Krishna, nor can I see good from killing my kinsman in battle. So we will continue our Gita Satsang, not next Sunday, but the Sunday after that. We are not meeting next Sunday because it is January 1. And so we'll stop here for Gita Charcha. Now we will do 10 minutes of group meditation. Everybody sit comfortably and close eyes. Those who learned transcendental meditation, go ahead and do transcendental meditation. And those who have not learned yet, sit with eyes closed and go inward. Man ko antarmukh karna. Okay, now let's close the eyes. Jai Gurudev. Take a minute or so and slowly open the eyes. Jai Gurudev. Slowly open the eyes. Mukesh ji, are you able to do the Gita Parayana or shall I do it? Manish ji and Mukesh ji, please unmute and tell me.
जी जय गुरुदेव मैम।
जय गुरुदेव। पारायण कर सकते हैं या नहीं?
मैम अभी तो अलग अलग हो गए हम लोग।
अच्छा अच्छा, तो ठीक है, मैं करती हूँ।
जी मैम।
Jai Gurudev. Now
जी
I
थैंक
will
यू।
do recitation of second half of first chapter, because reciting whole chapter is taking a lot of time and some people are not able to be patient with that. Okay. Arjuna uvacha drishtve swajanam Krishna yuyutsum samupasthitam सीदन्ति मम गात्राणि मुखं च परिशुष्यति वेपथुश्च शरीरे मे रोमहर्षश्च जायते गाण्डीवं स्रंसते हस्तात् वक्षैव परिदह्यते न च शक्नोम्यवस्थातुं भ्रमतीव च मे मनः निमित्तानि च पश्यामि विपरीतानि केशव न च श्रेयोऽनुपश्यामि हत्वा स्वजनमाहवे न काङ्क्षे विजयं कृष्ण न च राज्यं सुखानि च किं नो राज्येन गोविन्द किं भोगैर्जीवितेन वा येषामर्थे काङ्क्षितं नो राज्यं भोगाः सुखानि च त इमेव स्थिता युद्धे प्राणां त्यक्त्वा धनानि च आचार्याः पितरः पुत्राः तथैव च पितामहाः मातुलाः श्वशुराः पौत्राः श्यालाः सम्बन्धिनस्तथा एतान्न हन्तुमिच्छामि घ्नतोऽपि मधुसूदन अपि त्रैलोक्यराज्यस्य हेतोः किं नु मही कृते निहत्य धार्तराष्ट्रान्नः का प्रीतिः स्यात् जनार्दन पापमेवाश्रयेदस्मान् हत्वैतानाततायिनः तस्मात् नार्हा वयं हन्तुं धार्तराष्ट्रान् स्वबान्धवान् स्वजनं हि कथं हत्वा सुखिनः स्याम माधव Yadyapyete na pashyanti lobhopahata chetasaha kulakshaya kritam dosham mitradrohe cha patakam katham nagneyamasmabhihi papadasman nivartitum kulakshaya kritam dosham prapashyadbhirjanardana kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharma sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam kritsnam adharmo bhibhavatyuta adharmabhibhavat krishna pradushyanti kulastriyaha strishu dushtasu varshneya jayate varna sankaraha sankaro narakayaiva kulagnanam kulasya cha patanti pitaro yesham luptapindodakakriyaha doshairetai kulagnanam varnasankarakarakaihi utsadyante jati dharma kuladharmascha shashvataha utsanna kuladharmanam manushyanam janardana narake niyatam vaso bhavatityanu aho batamahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam yadrajya sukhalobhena hantum svajanamudyataha yadi mamapratīkāram ashastram shastrapanayah dhartarashtra rane tanme kshemataram bhavet. Sanjaya uvacha eva muktva sankhye rathopastha upavishat visruja sasharam chapam shokasam vignamanasah tatsaditi shrimadbhagwatkathalive upanishatsu brahma vidyaya yoga shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Arjuna Vishada Yogo Nama Prathamodhyayaha. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
As I said, we will not be meeting next Sunday. I wish you all a very happy and prosperous new year, full of knowledge from Sri Krishna Bhagavan. But there is another special program next Sunday, that is January 1. Aditi Srivastava is hosting a program to invite a new year. So they have a group, national group meditation, national group transcendental meditation for 10-15 minutes on Sunday, starting at 6:30, I think. I will post the announcement and the link in the WhatsApp group. And after group meditation, they are having recitation of Vishnu Sahasranama. This will kick off the new year with auspiciousness from Sri Vishnu Bhagavan. So I encourage all of you to please join that meeting next Sunday. Do group meditation for coherence in India and the whole world. And following that, we will have Vishnu Sahasranama Parayana by our Maharishi Vedic Pandits. So I will post the details of this in the WhatsApp group. So we will stop now. Are there any final comments or questions? Please go ahead now. Otherwise, we will end. And I would like to thank Mataji again for her participation in this Gita Satsang and for giving us the beautiful knowledge of chapter verse 28 and 29. Thank you all. Any questions? Go ahead, please.
Jai Gurudev Hemaji. This
Jai
is Hinduja
Gurudev.
Srinivasan.
Hinduja, go ahead.
Ji, December 29, my birthday, Ji.
I'm sorry?
Coming December 29, my birthday.
Your birthday is on 29. I'm glad you spoke up. So we will do. Let us see. Veena is there. I was going to also talk about importance of holidays, birthdays, but since we are out of time, I will not do it. I will do it next year. Next year, yes, in our Gita Satsang. Veena, I would like you to please sing Samskrita birthday song, Janma Dinamidam.
Yes, Hemaji. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Janma Dinamidam. ऐ प्रिया सखे जन्मदिनमिदम् ऐ प्रिया सखे शन्तनोतु ते सर्वदा मुदम् शन्तनोतु ते सर्वदा मुदम् प्रार्थयामहे भवशतायुषी प्रार्थयामहे भवशतायुषी ईश्वर सदा त्वां च रक्षतु ईश्वर सदा त्वां च रक्षतु पुण्यकर्मणा कीर्तिमर्जया पुण्यकर्मणा कीर्तिमर्जया जीवनं तव भवतु सार्थकम् जीवनं तव भवतु सार्थकम् जन्मदिनमिदम् ऐ प्रिया सखे जन्मदिनमिदम् ऐ प्रिया सखे शन्तनोतु ते सर्वदा मुदम् शन्तनोतु ते सर्वदा मुदम् सर्वदा मुदम् सर्वदा मुदम् Jai Gurudev.
The meaning of what Veena recited is, oh friend, may this birthday of yours bring in auspiciousness and happiness. We pray that you enjoy 100 beautiful years of life and may Sri Krishna Bhagavan always protect you. May you earn fame by your virtuous actions, punya karma, and may your life be fulfilling. She is doing a lot of punya karma. Hinduja is a teacher in Maharishi Vidya Mandir. Hinduja, are you teacher or principal?
Teacher.
Okay.
Teacher in Maharishi School of Excellence, Chennai.
Yes. And we are very happy to have her in our Gita Satsang. She participated in our old Gita Satsang also. Very knowledgeable, highly evolved Punyatma. And she is teaching Maharishi knowledge to the students in Maharishi Vidya Mandir. And I think that is the perfect example of Punya Karma. Earn fame by Punya Karma, the song says. So we are doing that. And we wish you a very happy birthday and many more to come. Jai Gurudev, Hinduja. I'm so glad you reminded me of birthdays. Thank you. Anybody else wants to wish her? Go ahead.
Happy birthday, Hinduja ji.
Thank you, Veena ji. Because of you only I joined this meeting.
Oh, come on.
Happy birthday, Hinduja ji.
Thank
Oh.
you so much.
Manishji and Mukeshji, can one of you give a Vedic blessing to Hinduja? Mukeshji?
जी मैम
दोनों एक पास नहीं है तो एक ही गाना आप दीजिए ऋग्वेद आशीर्वाद देना हिंदुजा को।
ओम श्रीर्वर्चस्वमायुष्यमारोग्यमाभिधाक्षुभमानं महीयते धनं धान्यं वसु बहुकीर्तिलाभं सत्संवत्सरं दीर्घमायुः हरिः ओम।
Okay, Gurudev. Thank you. Hinduja, would you like to say a few words?
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. So in your mouth, I heard the blessings. So thank you so much. Actually, I don't know. It's full blank now.
Yes.
Thank
May you
so
always have
much.
you will always have Maharishi and Gurudev blessings. That is the great blessing for all of us. Okay. Jai Gurudev. We will end the meeting now and we'll meet in 2 weeks. Sachin, you can end the meeting now.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai
Jai
Gurudev.
Gurudev.
जय गुरुदेव दीदी
Jai
Jai
Gurudev.
Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev, Hema ji.
Jai Gurudev. Thank you all. You all
Jai
did a good
Gurudev.
job.
Jai Gurudev.